What if I told you that the silver you think you own doesn't actually exist? Not a glitch, not a conspiracy theory, not clickbait. This is something happening right now, hiding inside one of the most trusted financial systems in the world. And most people won't find out until it's too late. If you're interested in money, finance, or changing your financial future, like this video and subscribe right now, because what you're about to learn can change the way you see money forever. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Picture this. It's 2008. The world is falling apart. Banks are collapsing. People who had worked their entire lives, 30, 40 years, are watching their retirement savings disappear overnight. Not because they did anything wrong, not because they were reckless or stupid, just because they trusted a system they never truly understood. Now imagine a regular guy. Let's call him Marcus. Marcus is a 42-year-old school teacher in Ohio. He's not rich, he's not poor, he's just normal. He clips coupons, he drives a used car, he packs lunch every day because eating out feels wasteful. For 15 years, Marcus did everything right. He saved a little every month. He put money into his retirement account. He even bought silver because he read somewhere that silver was real money, a real store of value, something that would protect him when the dollar started losing its power. And when 2008 hit, Marcus felt smart. He felt prepared. But here's where the story gets uncomfortable, because Marcus didn't actually own any silver. He thought he did. He had the statements, he had the account numbers, he had the confirmation emails. But what he actually owned was a piece of paper, a promise, that said, "We are holding silver on your behalf." And when he tried to cash out, when he tried to get his hands on that actual physical, hold it in your palm silver, he couldn't. And that's the paper silver illusion. And it's bigger, more dangerous, and more widespread than almost anyone is talking about right now. Before I explain exactly what's happening and why it matters to you, even if you're 19 years old with $200 in a savings account, I need you to understand something about how money actually works, because most of us were never taught this in school. Think about your bank for a second. When you deposit $1,000 into your account, you feel safe, right? That money is sitting there. It's yours. You can see it on your phone screen. But here's what actually happens. Your bank takes most of that $1,000 and loans it out to someone else. They keep only a tiny fraction, maybe $100, maybe less, and lend the rest. This is called fractional reserve banking. It means that if everyone tried to withdraw their money at the same time, the bank simply couldn't pay. The money isn't all there. It never was. Now hold that thought, because I'm going to bring it back. And when I do, it's going to change how you see the silver market forever. Silver. Let's talk about why people care about it in the first place. Silver isn't just a shiny metal. It's not just jewelry or old coins your grandmother left you. Silver is used in solar panels, in electric vehicles, in medical equipment, in smartphones. The one in your pocket right now has silver in it. Silver has real, physical demand. And unlike paper money, which governments can print as much of as they want, there's only so much silver in the ground. You can't just decide to make more. That's why for thousands of years, silver has been treated as real money. Empires rose and fell, paper currencies came and went, but silver held its value. It's one of the reasons why ordinary people, middle-class workers, small investors, people who don't have million-dollar portfolios, have been buying silver for decades as a way to protect themselves. Because silver is supposed to be safe. Silver is supposed to be real. And this is exactly why what's happening right now is so dangerous. Here's where I need you to really pay attention. When most people buy silver today, they don't actually buy silver. They buy something called paper silver. And this is the trap that millions of people have walked into without even realizing it. So what is paper silver? Well, let me break it down the way I wish someone had broken it down for me. Imagine you want to buy a pizza. But instead of going to the restaurant, getting a pizza, and taking it home, someone hands you a piece of paper that says, "You own one pizza. We are holding it for you." You go home. You don't have a pizza. You have a promise of a pizza. Now imagine that same pizza shop sold that same pizza and that same promise to 100 different people, and none of them realize it. That is what happens in the paper silver market every single day. The two most common forms of paper silver are ETFs, exchange-traded funds, and futures contracts. These are financial products that track the price of silver. If silver goes up, your investment goes up. If silver goes down, it goes down. On paper, you own silver. On paper, you're protected. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't own silver. You own a financial instrument that is supposed to represent silver, and there's a massive, terrifying difference between the two. Let me give you a number that stopped me cold when I first saw it. Analysts and researchers who study the precious metals market have estimated that for every 1 ounce of physical silver that actually exists in the vaults of major institutions, there may be anywhere from 100 to 300 paper claims on that same ounce. Read that again. 1 real ounce. Up to 300 people who think they own it. This is that fractional reserve banking idea I mentioned earlier, but applied to silver. The system works as long as nobody asks for their physical silver at the same time, as long as everyone stays calm, as long as trust holds. But what happens when trust breaks? This is where everything changes. Let me tell you about what happened in 1980. Because history doesn't always repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And this story is rhyming louder than it has in decades. In the late 1970s, two brothers named Nelson and William Hunt, famously wealthy Texan oil billionaires, decided they wanted to protect their fortune from inflation. The dollar was losing value. Inflation was out of control. They decided silver was the answer, and they started buying a lot. They eventually accumulated over 100 million ounces of silver, about a third of the entire world's above-ground supply at the time. The price of silver went from around $6 an ounce in 1979 to nearly $50 an ounce by early 1980. Ordinary people were melting down silverware. Families were selling jewelry. The whole world seemed to be catching silver fever, and then it crashed, violently. In a single day, March 27th, 1980, a day history would call Silver Thursday, the price collapsed. The Hunt brothers lost billions. People who had bought at the top were wiped out. Now, I'm not telling you that to scare you away from silver. I'm telling you that because what's building in the market right now has some very similar fingerprints, and the people who pay attention to history are the ones who don't get blindsided by it. Here's the thing I keep coming back to, and I want you to sit with this for a second. Most people reading about the paper silver market right now are not millionaires. They're people like Marcus, the teacher I told you about at the beginning. They're college students who scraped together $500 and bought silver ETF shares because they heard it was smart. They're parents who wanted to leave their kids something real. They're middle-class workers who watched inflation eat their savings and thought, maybe silver will protect me. These are real people. And the system they trusted was designed in a way that makes it very, very difficult for them to get what they were actually promised. And here's the part that should make your blood run cold. Most of them don't know yet. So why is this starting to matter so much right now? Why is this conversation happening with more urgency than ever before? A few reasons, and I want to walk you through them carefully, because together they paint a picture that is impossible to ignore. First, physical silver demand has been exploding. Not slowly, explosively. Industries that use silver, solar energy, electric vehicles, electronics, have been growing so fast that the world is now consuming more silver every year than it mines. The Silver Institute, one of the most respected research bodies in the precious metals world, has reported supply deficits for multiple consecutive years. That means the world is using more silver than it's producing. When demand goes up and supply stays flat or shrinks, what happens to the price? It goes up. Basic economics. But here's the hidden problem. If the price of physical silver starts rising fast, really fast, people holding paper silver are going to want to convert it to real silver. Suddenly, all those 100 or 300 paper claims on 1 real ounce are going to come knocking on the same door at the same time, and the door might not open. Second reason, trust in paper systems is eroding. I know that sounds dramatic, but look at what's been happening over the last several years. Inflation hit levels that people in their 30s and 40s had never seen in their lifetimes. Banks that seemed rock solid, Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, collapsed almost overnight in 2023. People watched the news and thought, wait, that can happen? Yes, it can happen. And when that trust starts to crack, even just a little, people start asking questions they never asked before. Questions like, is my money actually safe? Is my investment actually real? Do I actually own what I think I own? And when enough people start asking those questions about silver at the same time, the paper silver illusion doesn't crack slowly, it shatters. Now, here's what I want to make very clear, because I don't want this to be a doom and gloom video that leaves you feeling helpless. That's not the point. The point is knowledge, because knowledge is the one asset that cannot be inflated away, cannot be confiscated, and cannot be destroyed. The people who got hurt in 2008 weren't bad people. They weren't stupid. They just didn't know what they didn't know. They trusted the label on the box without looking inside. You now have a chance to look inside. And the question is, what do you do with what you see? Let me introduce you to a completely different kind of silver investor. Let's call her Priya. Priya is 28. She works as a nurse. She doesn't make a fortune, but she's smart about money in a quiet, steady way that most people never develop. A few years ago, Priya started learning about the difference between paper silver and physical silver. She read everything she could. She watched videos, she asked questions, and then she made a decision. She decided that if she was going to invest in silver, she was going to own actual physical silver, coins, bars, things she could hold in her hand, things that existed in the real world, not just on a spreadsheet somewhere. She started small, really small. She bought 1 silver coin per month. Just one. At the time, it cost her about $25 to $30 a coin. She set it aside. She didn't panic when the price dipped. She didn't celebrate too much when it rose. She just kept going. She wasn't trying to get rich overnight. She was building a foundation. And now, several years later, Priya has something that millions of paper silver investors don't have: certainty. She knows exactly what she owns. She can see it. She can touch it. No counterparty can take it from her. No bank failure can erase it. No ETF redemption policy can lock her out of it. That's what physical silver ownership actually feels like. Now, I want to be fair here, because I know someone watching this is already thinking, but paper silver is easier. ETFs are more convenient. I can buy and sell with a few taps on my phone. And you know what? That's true. Paper silver is easier. It's more liquid in the short term. It's accessible to almost anyone, but easy and safe are not the same thing. Let me say that again, because it matters. Easy and safe are not the same thing. Driving without a seatbelt is easier. Eating fast food every day is easier. Spending everything you earn and saving nothing is easier. But nobody who's serious about where they end up chooses the easy path over the right path. The question you need to ask yourself isn't, what's the easiest way to invest in silver? The question is, what do I actually own? What happens if I need to access it? What are the risks I'm carrying right now that I don't fully understand? Because the moment you start asking those questions, really asking them, the paper silver illusion starts to fall apart on its own. Let me talk about something called rehypothecation. Don't let that word scare you. Let me explain it in the simplest way possible. Imagine you own a bicycle. You lend it to your friend to use while you're not riding it. Your friend lends it to his cousin. His cousin lends it to a neighbor. Now, 3 people think they have access to that bicycle. But there's only one bicycle. That is rehypothecation. In the financial world, your assets, your silver, your gold, your securities, well, it can be lent out, used as collateral, and lent out again, multiple times. And at the end of this chain, if someone pulls hard enough, everything unravels. This is not illegal. It is not even unusual. It is baked into the way financial institutions operate. And most retail investors, meaning regular people like you and me, have absolutely no idea it's happening with their holdings. When you buy a silver ETF, you are often trusting a chain of institutions: the fund manager, the custodian, the sub-custodian, and sometimes parties beyond that. Each link in that chain has its own interests, its own risks, its own ability to fail, and if one link breaks, I want to bring Marcus back. Remember Marcus, the teacher from Ohio? Here's how his story actually ended. When the financial chaos of 2008 settled down, Marcus eventually managed to sell his silver ETF position. He didn't lose everything. The ETF tracked the price, and he got paid in dollars, in cash, but by then the dollar had been inflated. Bailouts had happened. The purchasing power of those dollars was less than when he had started. He hadn't really been protected the way he thought he would be. He had a paper claim on a metal that was supposed to protect him from paper, and in the end, all he got back was more paper. It took him a long time to understand that. And when he did, it changed everything about how he thought about money, about ownership, about protection. He started over, slowly. He began buying small amounts of physical silver and gold. He read, he learned, he stopped trusting labels and started looking inside the box. And he told everyone who would listen, the biggest financial mistake isn't losing money on a bad investment. It's thinking you're protected when you're not. Here's something I need to say clearly because I think it gets lost in all the noise. This video is not telling you to put everything you have into silver. It is not telling you that the financial system is about to end and you should panic. That kind of thinking leads to bad decisions, just as much as blind trust does. What I am telling you is this. Understand what you own. If you have money in a silver ETF right now, go read the prospectus. That's the legal document that explains exactly what the fund is and what it holds. Look for the words physical delivery. Look for what happens if you want your actual silver. Look for the counterparty risks. They're in there. They're just written in language designed to make your eyes glaze over. If you don't understand something, ask questions. Ask your broker. Ask a financial advisor. Watch more videos. Read more. Because the cost of understanding is low. The cost of not understanding can be everything. Let me paint you a picture of what a potential collapse of the paper-silver market could actually look like. Not to terrify you, but to make it real. Imagine silver's price starts rising quickly. Maybe there's a supply shock. Maybe a major industrial buyer, a big solar panel manufacturer, let's say, needs to lock in enormous quantities of physical silver. Maybe a country starts buying silver reserves the way China has been buying gold. The price spikes. People holding paper silver see their accounts go up. They feel good. But then someone, a hedge fund, a big institutional player, decides to demand physical delivery on their silver contracts. And the institution on the other side of that contract scrambles to find the physical silver and finds it isn't there, not in the quantities promised. Word gets out. More people start demanding physical delivery. The scramble intensifies. The price of physical silver, real, hold it in your hand silver, surges while the paper silver price does something strange. It starts diverging. Two prices for the same metal, one real, one promised. The divergence is the moment the illusion breaks, and the people who only hold paper, they watch the price on their screen go up, but they cannot get the real thing. They can sell their position, but only for dollars. Dollars that, in a moment of financial chaos, may be worth less than they were yesterday. This is not a fantasy. Versions of this have happened before. Ask anyone who tried to take physical delivery of gold or silver during the market chaos of March 2020. The premium on physical coins, the extra cost above the paper price, shot up to 30%, 40%, even higher in some places. Physical and paper diverged. For a brief, frightening moment, people got a glimpse behind the curtain. So what does a genuinely smart approach to silver ownership look like? Let me walk you through the thinking, not the specific investments, because your situation is different from mine, and I'm not a financial advisor, and anyone who tells you exactly what to buy without knowing your life is either selling something or guessing, but the thinking, the framework that I can give you. First, ask yourself what you actually want silver to do. Are you trying to make a quick profit? Are you trying to protect yourself against inflation over 10 or 20 years? Are you trying to build a foundation that exists outside the paper financial system? Your answer changes everything about what form of silver makes sense for you. Second, if protection and real ownership matter to you, physical silver, coins, bars, held in your own possession or in a fully allocated, audited vault, is the only form of silver that gives you that. Allocated means your silver is specifically yours. It's not pooled, it's not lent out. It has your name on it. Unallocated or pooled silver is just another form of paper silver wearing a different costume. Third, size it appropriately. Nobody should put 100% of anything into a single asset class. Silver, even physical silver, has price volatility. It can drop 30% in a short time. If you're not prepared to hold through that, it can turn into a panic decision that costs you more than the original risk you were trying to avoid. And fourth, and this is the one people always forget, store of value is a long game. Priya, the nurse I told you about, wasn't trying to get rich by next year. She was planting seeds. The mindset of someone who builds real wealth over time is completely different from the mindset of someone who's always looking for the fastest shortcut. Here's a thought I want to leave with you for a moment, because I think it touches something deeper than silver or gold or any investment. We live in a world that has become extraordinarily comfortable with abstractions. Your paycheck is a number on a screen. Your savings are a number on a screen. Your investments are numbers on a screen. Even your photos, your music, your books, all just data, all just promises that something real is being held somewhere on your behalf. And most of the time, that works fine. Most of the time, the system holds. Most of the time, the abstraction matches the reality. But sometimes, it doesn't. And the people who understand the difference between what they're told they own and what they actually own, those are the people who come through the hard times with something left. That's not pessimism. That's just wisdom. And wisdom is free. It costs nothing to understand. It costs everything not to. I want to go back to that opening question one more time. What if the silver you think you own doesn't actually exist? For most people, reading a paper silver statement right now, that question has no easy answer. They'd have to dig through legal documents. They'd have to understand custodial arrangements and redemption policies and counterparty risk. Most won't. Most will trust the number on the screen. But you're not most people. You're watching this. You're asking questions. You're trying to understand something that your school, your bank, and your government were never going to explain to you voluntarily. And that makes you different. Not smarter than everyone else. Not better. Just more willing to look. And in a world full of beautiful illusions, the willingness to look, to really look, is one of the most powerful financial tools you can have. Let me leave you with one final image. Imagine two people. Both invest in silver at the same time. For the same reason, they want protection. They want something real in a world full of paper promises. The first person buys a silver ETF. It's easy. It's convenient. They check the price occasionally and feel good when it goes up. They feel like they're prepared. The second person buys physical silver. It takes more effort. They have to find a reputable dealer. They have to think about storage. It's less liquid. But when they hold that coin in their hand, when they feel the weight of it, something clicks. This is real. This exists. This is mine. No bank failure, no system crash, no policy change takes this from me. These two people might make the same return on paper for years, decades even. But the moment a real crisis hits, the moment everyone rushes toward the exit at the same time, only one of them finds out that their silver was always real. The other one finds out, too late, that they were holding a very convincing illusion. Which one will you be? That's not a rhetorical question. It's a decision. And every day you don't make it consciously, you're making it by default. Start asking what you own. Start understanding the systems you trust. Start building something real, even if it's small, even if it's one coin at a time, because the financial world does not reward the comfortable. It rewards the prepared. The paper-silver illusion has been built on decades of trust and convenience, but the cracks are showing. The deficits are real. The demand is real. The limited supply is real. And one day, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but one day, the distance between what the paper says and what actually exists is going to matter more than anything else. You now know what most people don't. What you do with that knowledge is up to you. If you learned something new today, make sure to subscribe to Money Insights and like this video. More powerful financial truths are coming next.